baby. How you doing, Stevie?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Aaron, your host from Call for Fire. This is Stevie V of the Stevie V channel on Twitch. We are here again for yet another edition of This Week in Gaming, the weekly
Another one.
rundown of all of the gaming news that we want to talk about. Um, as always, Stevie is here graciously helping me host this show, coming up with all the fun content that you guys are looking for. Um, hey, Big Voight, how you doing? Good to see you in the chat.
Pretty
Um,
boy.
Stevie, what have you been playing, man? It's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks since
Couple
we've done
weeks.
done something.
Holiday break.
We
Holiday
did
break.
we did a little breaky break.
Holiday
The
break. Yeah,
trivia show was a great success. We had a lot of fun with that.
that was a great. Can't wait for the next one. That was a good one.
And yeah, so what have you been up to?
Um, some gaming. Just some gaming. Just some. No, I've been playing. I mean, the new wipe for Tarkov has happened, so I've been doing a lot of that, which has been fun. I actually just started breaking into Ready or Not. The essential SWAT sequel from SWAT 4 that had come out forever ago. That has been taking up a lot more of my time than I expected that it would, but in a great way, kind of, because it's. I don't know. You've seen a little bit of it. You did mention it to me a couple of weeks ago when I'd already had my interest peaked about it, but it's I don't know. I feel like we don't have enough time in the show to talk about it because I know I'll talk about it for like 3 hours
Well,
because it's awesome.
I mean,
It's awesome,
we're
man.
definitely going to get into talking about some first impressions of Ready or Not.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in hearing what you have to say about it. I've been watching from afar. I haven't jumped in yet, but definitely piqued a little bit of my interest to see what
Mhm.
they are planning to do with this game. It looks great, but we will definitely get into that a little bit more moving forward. From my end, realistically, the amount of time that I have to play video games is less and less and less these days, but I'm still finding some time to jump in on that Battlefield and give it some tries. And then also trying to get into the Tarkov stuff, man. I was not expecting myself to get as involved with Tarkov on this wipe as I have, and that I have been in as long as I have has been kind of a surprise. They've done some fun changes here and there with this wipe, and other than the servers being an absolute potato, I I'm having fun with it. So if they can
Yeah, it's been awesome.
just tweak those servers so that they aren't made out of vodka and a wish, um, maybe I'll have some more fun. I honestly went into tonight um, basing my expectations if I'm going to continue playing or not throughout this wipe on how those servers were going to perform for me. And then right before I was set to quit playing for the night and then jump over to start prepping for the show, they just went completely under worldwide. So that was fun. Um, so we'll see. Maybe they're back. I think they're back. I have Pestily in the background doing the drops all day and night for me. So it looked like they were back by the time we got the show going. So at least it wasn't out for the 4 or 5 hours they were yesterday.
Yeah, they were down for a bit yesterday. They weren't playing nice with everybody. It's funny because I was trying to play some yesterday, but how I ended up playing Ready or Not for the whole entirety of my stream last night.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I just I'm glad that there's other games coming out, and yeah, my camera definitely is just kind of doing its thing. It's trying to figure out this new setting that I have it on, but we'll mess with it a little bit moving forward. Um, yeah, so Ready or Not is the sort of the belle of the ball right now.
oh
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah.
everybody's kind of talking about it,
As
and
they should.
I I I I think it looks good. It looks intense. It looks fun, and
It's all those things. All of them.
I've watched one night of you, and I watched one. long video of, I want to say it was One Peg, or I can't remember who it was. It was somebody else. It was one of the bigger YouTube people. Um,
Mm.
no, Level Cap. I think it was Level Cap. He
Okay.
was running a run, um, and just to see all of the, just like every door is a potential pain in the ass, complex problem that you now have to solve, or they're gonna shoot you through the goddamn door, and that was something that I was not expecting to see
Oh yeah.
from a game like that. Stevie, tell us a little bit more about Ready or Not.
So, Ready or Not uh, takes place in some dystopian side of things as far as like the world goes, where crime is like Judge Dredd levels of just bad. It's just running rampant everywhere, and it primarily takes place in like the city of Los Angeles. I believe they call it Los Sueños in the game, and you are playing as members of a SWAT team, and there are different maps you go to, and there are different scenarios for each one. So each map, it kind of plays like Zero Hour. If those of you that have played Zero Hour are familiar with it, where you have to unlock certain, you have to get graded a certain way to do like another set of objectives on the same map. So right out of the gate, your immediate objectives for each map is called Barricaded Suspect, and it is exactly as it sounds. There's a bad guy locked in a or bad guys, excuse me, locked in a house somewhere. You have to go in there, breach in there with shields, gas, flashbangs, whichever, clear it out, arrest suspects, kill the ones that are trying to kill you, secure civilians. Some of them you have to like secure drugs or other paraphernalia, things like that, and try not to die. There's all kinds of other stipulations as well. You have to make sure that you don't shoot somebody that's surrendering. You got to make sure you arrest a certain number of suspects. Like there's a lot that goes into it, but it's not overwhelming, which is cool. Like there's already a lot going on in the game, which is awesome, but they don't add a bunch of like nonsensical bullshit on top of it, which is cool. So even though it's not your standard first person shooter where you just like run in and spray everything that's just looking at you funny, the objectives that they have alongside of it actually do make it very enjoyable, and they don't wash it down, which is really nice. Because there are some games, like Zero Hour is one of those games. Like I love Zero Hour. I don't have a whole lot of bad to say about it, but if it was a little more simplistic in the way that its approach was, as far as if you turn a corner and there's a dude looking at you with a gun and you shoot him, you're immediately in trouble. Like that kind of sucks. It's just there's like I said, there's a lot in there, but it's not a lot. Like it's a very I'm trying to find the best way to put it.
It's
It's
just
like
enough to keep you on your toes.
yeah, like if you have extra fries with your meal, that's not a bad thing. Nobody complains about extra French fries. Those are always good. You get your whole meal, but then you got some extra French fries, so everybody's happy because that's the best way I use a food thing. Can you tell I'm hungry? That I
Yeah.
use the food analogy. So I'm hungry, but it's nice. It's the way that it paces well. And actually, let me rephrase that. You can kind of play at your own pace. You can play super slow, super tactical, methodical, if you want to, or you can just smash every door and flashbang the shit out of every door that you want to. I mean, it's one of those games where you kind of have the creative freedom to play it how you see fit, which is really nice. Um, and it's cool that more games are starting to do that, and I really appreciate that they're giving you the option to do that, which is cool. The guns are cool. It kind of feels like what we're one of the games we're talking about tonight. It kind of feels like a lot of people are looking at how Escape from Tarkov does, like their guns and their modding and their handling and how it goes, and it seems like they're kind of using that as the aiming point, because the guns feel great. They feel pretty close to what Tarkov is, which is nice. Which is kind of one of the big games out there right now that everybody is enjoying and kind of jumping into, which is cool. The AI, a lot of people are complaining about the AI, but I think that people that are used to the sandbox shooters, your Call of Duty players, your Apex players, people that are used to 100 miles an hour trick shots, stuff like that. I don't think they're used to AI that's actually fairly legitimate to how they're going to like if you have a hostage situation and you bash a door in and there's some bad guy cranked out on drugs standing there with a gun, he's not going to do 4 lines of dialogue and then slowly aim at you. He's just going to shoot you immediately. Like that's just what's going to happen because that's what goes on. And that's how the AI is coded in this, and it does keep you on your toes. It's very different. For the people that like the tactical style gameplay, the slow methodical, by the books, room clearing, small team tactics type gameplay, this is right in that wheelhouse right there. I've watched a number of gamers play it and love it. I've watched a number of guys that play games that have prior experience, whether it be military or police work or tactical work, that play this and they're like, this is incredible. Like this is right what this should be, as far like they're hitting the mark of what they're trying to do. Like they made a game, it's supposed to be a tactical, slow paced, not a shooter. It's a thinker first, then a shooter type game. And it seems like they took their time and they made it exactly what they wanted to. Like they hit the nail right on the head with what they wanted to do. And a lot of game developers, within the last couple of years, it's like, hey, this is the game we're gonna do, and then that game comes out and everybody goes, that wasn't that no, no, that's not what you described. That's not the case with this. This one has definitely hit exactly where they said they were going to hit with it, and everything that was in the alpha stages, everything that was in the closed beta stages, everybody knew exactly what this game was going to be. And it just seems that now that it's in the closed beta phase where you got to pay to play it, it seems like everybody is been enjoying it. I don't really think I've heard too much negative about it. I think the only negative thing that I've heard about it so far is that people wish there was more maps,
Right.
and that's a good problem to have, is that people are like, I just wish there was more.
Yeah, and
People wanting more is a good problem.
it seems like that is what Chad is actually talking about right now. So Big Voice saying that $40 seems like it's a bit much, but 30 would be a much more fair price for what they're actually offering right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
I totally understand that sentiment, but we're also talking about a developer that's in closed beta, that this game is still in development, being created. So we're talking about people jumping in to support. This is basically like kickstarting the game.
They
Um,
also did.
but
They
while
also
still
did
being able to
lose a
fucking
publisher
play it,
too.
which is incredible. I love that people are doing this for games now in order to like build an audience and also build a little bit of hype, but also get money so that they can actually make the games better. That's huge. Um, I think $40 for a game of this caliber, of this polish,
Hmm.
at least graphically, is awesome, and like gameplay wise, it's incredible. The polish on the voice lines, however, I'm not totally sold on. I so that's like the one
There
big sticking point
seems
for
a
me, is like,
little where,
oh, okay, that's weird. Like when you're capturing a civilian and she's talking about your cool tattoos, and you're like,
yeah,
what are you what are you doing? I don't all right, game.
they
You're
those
in
could be a little.
beta, you're okay, but that better not be in the full released final
Yeah,
game.
you guys better have this polished. There better not be the same six fucking lines for every
Yeah,
scumbag you rep in
it's
this
it's
game.
not
This better be switched
it's
around.
not my favorite. That's not my favorite.
Yeah, that could be a little different. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, and this could end up being a $50 to $60 video game, and you guys that have purchased it at $40 will still be good to go. I don't know that they would do something like that. They are trying to entice purchases right now, but it doesn't make sense to then jump the price. It's like Tarkov saying that you were going to charge you $60, and then everybody has to buy the Edge of Darkness version. Like
Right.
that's not really. I don't foresee that happening to anybody.
No.
And this is who's the publisher on this one? Are they
Void
bigger,
Interactive.
and they're
Oh no, no.
bigger,
Void. Hold on.
smaller? They're
Void's done some stuff before. Hold on, let me verify. I've Void is definitely game. The oh no, it is. It's a Team 17. So the publishers are Void Interactive and Team 17
hmm,
is what it is.
okay.
Team 17. It looks like the big ones they've done are Hell Let Loose, Overcooked,
Okay, so they
Overcooked
have some.
2 moving out. But Void Interactive, they let's see here. Void Interactive comes up. Looks like they've done Chrono Boost, Perilous Dungeon, Ready or Not. So it looks like they've done some smaller games. Um, but yeah, this is their big one. So
This is
that does kind of change it for me then hearing that they don't have a bunch of other games under their belt there. They have, this is it. Like this is what they're doing. This is their big,
this is their
their big
breakout.
pie here, as you will. Yeah.
Yeah, this is their breakout piece, and we're
So I
probably
would
gonna
say,
see
I would
something
say
really good from them moving
I
forward
would say
because of that.
you know what? $40 for that, I would say is probably right where it could be. Because you know what? I'll say this. $40 for something that has the detail that has the attention to detail too, as far as like the sounds in this game are, I would have to say these are probably top, maybe some of the best sounds in game that I've heard in a video game. Like when you throw a grenade inside and you could hear like it go off, but then you could hear like the displacement of just like sound and air like throughout. Like they definitely did the research on, okay, let's just not have it go like, what does it actually sound like? What does it actually do? The sounds of the weapons firing, like, because you could do tell a major difference when you're firing your gun outside, when you're firing your gun in a tunnel, like a cave tunnel that you see, and then when you're firing it inside of a house with like wood and drywall. So they definitely put a lot of detail into this that they didn't have to for a game that's in closed beta right now. Like they didn't have to make it sound as well as they've been making it sound, and they didn't have to put any of that in there. And the fact that this is their, as Aaron said, their breakout, like this is pretty good. Like this is really, really good.
Pretty good, as in getting everyone's attention throughout the Twitch sphere.
Twitch, YouTube,
E-
TikTok, Instagram,
everybody's
it's
everybody's
everywhere.
scrambling to get this game and like come up with new stuff to do with it and have
Hmm.
fun. Um,
Yep.
yeah, and this is this is a tactical shooter in what we've come to expect from tactical shooters from since basically the dawn of the PC in massive big games like this. Um, we're talking back to original Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon. This is in that vein, and that is important because those are good games. Those original old school games were incredible games, and it's nice to see developers going back to that hardcore. Uh, if you fail, you are done kind of gaming where it's like you can scramble on and hope that you get through it, but if your guys die, they are done. You're not going to get a lot of buys on this. Um, I I'm excited for these types of games to make a bigger comeback, especially in this like big. Oh, somebody just got eaten up in that clip. uh, so like these are important games because I think it brings gaming on the PC back to its roots in a lot of ways, while still also giving like the most immersive experience that it possibly can. Because it's not jump scares, it's just incredible um, gameplay. Like that you're just getting like this emergent gameplay from these games that is like the core of what PC gaming can be, and I think that these are really important, and I think it's really fun to see a game get so much quick attention for being in a closed beta like this, and I'm excited to see where this one goes. It sounds like everybody that's played it has liked it, and everybody that played it is really excited to get back into uh, more of it. So I will probably be picking this one up in the near future and giving it a go. So um, yeah, Stevie, I don't know if you have anything else for this one because like the chat's saying, it seems like this is just the one to pick up right now if you're into tactical
Yeah.
shooters. If you're
And
into
it
shooters in general, this is going to give you the challenge that you're looking for right now.
Oh, well, 100%. And it does have a single player, you can't play it by yourself with AI guys as well,
Yeah.
which is cool. So it's not one of those where you're locked in either playing it, either by yourself or with a group. You can play, or when I say by yourself, like solo, you can have AI guys with you as well. And it's cool. It's definitely one of those things where, you know, we talk about it. we can talk about it all day. I would definitely just say that, you just I'll just kind of go off what you said.
And a
If you
Monster
have,
Energy drink ad in
oh,
the middle of our.
if you like first person shooters, if you enjoy having a first person shooter that's going to challenge you a little bit, and yeah, I would say 100% go grab this. $40, might be steep for some people, but it's going to support, a small developer. I say small, they have got money and stuff, but everything that you give to them goes into making this better, and it goes into supporting them and helping them continue to do something that's awesome. And this is just in one word, it's just been awesome. It's the tactics are cool, the guns are cool, the aesthetics are cool, the lighting is amazing. I keep coming back to the sound for a reason. Like there was a moment Kurt and I were playing the other night, and I was standing in a hallway and I zapped somebody and I fired off a quick little double tap, and then when the person dropped and it got quiet, I could hear my brass bouncing around the hallway and rolling. And then I shot
That's great.
again. I shot around again. He's like, What is it? What is it?" And I'm just shooting to listen. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Dude, are you hearing that?" He's like, "What?" I was like, "My brass is rolling around right now." He's like, "What?" And I did it again. He's like, "Oh shit." He's like, "I thought you were shooting somebody." All right. And then he's like, immediately he was like back on mission. But that was like such a cool detail. It's like little details like that. Again, it's like things they didn't have to do, which is cool.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things they have to work out. We just saw right there in that clip the mechanics of the door. F is your interaction key. Actually, I take that back. That's my own fault right there, because F is your interaction key. That's how you interact with doors and do things. But the game does have like full freedom and ability for you to map keys however you want. It gives you the ability to, you can key out any sort of combination of buttons or certain things to certain keys or whichever. Um, I completely forgot about that. That you can do that. Like I was going to complain and say they should change the way that the door interactions are, which they should do that as well to an extent. There's ability you can open the door completely. You could peek the door. You'd have to look at the door handle to peek it, and then you look at the middle of the door to just completely swing it open. But as we mentioned earlier, if you stand directly in front of these doors in the game, they're going to shoot you through the door. They're just going to blast you through the door. So it's not smart to, I mean, even when you're, breaching doors and you're taught to breach, don't stand directly in front of it longer than you have to. Be a little off to the side. It's better to be off to the side than just, okay, here I am.
Yeah.
So, when you're off to the side of the door, you want to peek it and do something. If your cursor's a little too far to the right or a little too far to the left, you might just swing that whole door open and take away the element of surprise to just peek it a little bit. So that part they should probably tweak around a little bit, but you know, technically or not technically, but what's the word I'm looking for? Well, no, I guess it is technically the technical side of the game. It's great, full creative ability to play how you want, map out the keys how you want. It's an experience, which is cool. And I say experience because I've spent the last 2 nights playing it for at least. I think I played it for 6 hours straight the other night, and last night I played it with Jimmy and one of his boys for like 5 hours straight, and it was awesome. It kind of had that same drive that like Tarkov has, where it's like just one more. Let's
Yeah.
just do one more. Let's just get another one. Like it had that, which is cool. So that was, outside of the raid type games that make you want to do that, that was cool for, to have another game do that. So
Yeah, that's
pretty
awesome.
dope.
Yeah, and you don't get that much from a lot of single player games. I don't
No,
think.
no, no, no.
I haven't had that in a hot minute with any. I don't think any single player first person shooter. At least since Ghost Recon, the original. I think that was honestly like the last time I've had that moment where I'm like, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna finish this mission, or I'm gonna get the next one. Um, yeah, so that one, I think you heard it here. I think this is one to watch, and I think it's one that people should at least consider picking up and probably squadding up with people and giving it a go because it looks incredible. Um, so to put a finer point on what these types of games are versus what sort of the talk of the show is going to end up being here. So these are tactical shooters. I think
Mhm.
is probably the best way to you're not stuck in, you're not trying to you're going in and doing like a single player level completion thing, right? Like it might be a little bit sandboxy, it might be a little bit um in the same vein as like games like Tarkov, where you're kind of picking all of your gear and stuff like that, but it's not quite the same experience as some of those other games that we're going to be talking about tonight. And I think that's an important distinction when we start to get into the discussion of the topic of the night. And the topic of the night is raids are the new battle royale. Uh, I did a write up for Call for Fire, for the
Great one, by the way.
Instagram,
Great one.
and I did a little bit extended version of that for the website, and it essentially talks about how we have seen raid gaming come up so very quickly against some of the biggest games out there when we talk about battle royales. We're talking about PUBG, we're talking about Warzone, we're talking about Apex Legends, we're talking about games that, Fortnite, we're talking about massive, massive, massive games that are now sort of getting a little bit of competition from just brand new game mode that they aren't even touching yet.
Mhm.
And I for one wanted to kind of approach that subject and bring up the fact that like, hey, we're seeing the beginnings of something here that we haven't really seen since PUBG. We're seeing the brand new big thing. The new big thing that is going to be taking every game. Everyone is going to be making a piece of this
Yeah.
moving forward. We're going to see a lot of iteration. We're going to see a lot of people coming up with game modes that are similar, but kind of don't want to jump too deep into that world. Um, and if you're interested in reading that blog piece, I have posted the link there. Also, I want to go ahead and say thank you to Dennis Hennessy for the follow. Much appreciated, bud. Um, Essentially, what my takeaway from all of it has been is that this is where gaming is going. This is it.
Yeah.
And
That's a fair assessment, but so I think one thing that we need to, well, I say we, but I think in general, I think people take both of those, and I say both of those because there is a difference, and I'll explain that difference. If I may have the floor, Senator,
the floor is yours.
if I may have the floor. Um, there's a big difference between raid style games and battle royale games, but I think a lot of people are taking the raid style title and they are throwing it onto battle royale type games, and they're just trying to give it that spice. Now, the actual definition, I don't know it off the top of my head. I'm not that intelligent
Hmm.
or sophisticated. I have pulled up here on Google the definition of raid. The noun. It is a noun. A sudden attack on enemy by troops, aircraft, or other armed forces in warfare. Uh when I hear that and I hear the term raid, that is essentially what I think is that it is surprise, ambush, attack, go, go, go. But the other side of that is that could also happen to you as well.
Right.
All the while that's going on, when you play these raid type games, you could play a raid type game and not run into a single fucking soul. You could not fire a single round if you either want to or you don't. Um, in my experiences with Tarkov, I've had raids go where I have not fired a single round. I've had a couple, I was going to say the cycle, but I've killed like wildlife, but I've not shot anybody in the cycle frontier. Um, it's something where you can play it how you want. You can avoid the fight, you can push for the fight. that whole plan could go to the wayside and somebody could come across you on accident and you die and lose all your stuff. That is a raid game. Now, with battle royales, you're gonna have to fight at some point. Battle royales physically force you into a cage match, whether it be a large circle or the final smaller circles. They force you to fight. You're gonna have to fight at some point in battle royales. It's in the title. It's a battle royale. You're gonna have to fight. And there's a lot of battle royales that are coming out, and there's a lot of raid type games that are coming out that have like battle royale spice over the top of it. Um, but I definitely think that people need to know the difference. It's kind of one of those more you know situations because I've had a lot of people ask me, especially about like Escape from Tarkov. They hear Escape from Tarkov, and immediately the first thing they ask, they're like, "Is that anything like PUBG?" And you just have to tell them no because it's not.
Yeah, it's not at all.
It's not at all. It's not anything like that. And then it's like it's in a it's in a source all its own. It's in a league of its own. There's not really anything like it out on the market, and the only thing that I could compare to that's not even technically out on the market yet is the Cycle Frontier. Um, it's just kind of, everybody said it. The big streamers said it. The big YouTubers said it. The cycle was Tarkov in space is essentially exactly what it was, and it was rad. It was done very, very well. But you look at Battlefield 2042, and you look at how they've done Hazard Zone, and a lot of people will try to compare that to Tarkov, and I say it's a little bit more like Hunt Showdown, which is a raid style game, yes, but it has it has its own stipulations and its own rules surrounding it. In Escape from Tarkov, you have the total freedom and ability to change everything that you do, swap out your guns, your kit, and do all of that, and like do all these different things. With Hazard Zone, um with Hunt Showdown, you are kind of limited. You can't really change armor. You can't change clothing. You can't come back with things like you can in Escape from Tarkov. In Escape from Tarkov, you have an active inventory system. You can come back with a backpack full of stuff. With Cycle Frontier, you come back with a backpack full of stuff. In Hazard Zone and in Hunt Showdown, when you come back from a game, all you come back with is the XP that you've got and a weapon you had to swap one of your own out to get. There is no loot to be had. The loot to be had in those is the XP and whatever guns you can put in a weapon slot is what that is. So there's raid games, there's raid style games, and there is battle royales, and I think that's the big distinction between those right there is that there are differences. And I think when people start hearing because like I said, a lot of people mention something like Escape from Tarkov, and somebody says, "Is it kind of like Battle Royale?" And immediately people are like, "Oh, I don't want anything. I don't want to play a fucking Battle Royale. I don't want to play like." It's not that. There's huge distinctions between it, but I think people that aren't familiar with it, they immediately just kind of clump it together and go, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." You play against other people. There's not a story. It's not like Call of Duty or Battlefield. It's all like PUBG, and it's not that, and that's great. It's great that there are distinctions like that because I know people that love Hunt Showdown but can't stand Escape from Tarkov, and then it's vice versa. But I know people like myself that love both of them because it's just that essence of it's the thrill of the kill, the risk it for the biscuit type. Losing all of your shit. Like yes, I am partially psychotic because I love playing Escape from Tarkov until my eyes bleed because I love that potential of possibly losing everything that I have worked my ass off to get that I'm going into that raid for. I think that is great. I think that risk reward setup for something like Escape from Tarkov is absolutely fantastic. And the fact that a game like Cycle Frontier was able to come around and replicate that in their own way with something fresh and still as exciting and fun is great. And it's absolutely, absolutely awesome. But I definitely think that people need to be aware that there are big differences between raid style games, battle royale, and raid games. Like there's a huge distinction between those. And I think the more that people, I feel like I'm doing like a PSA for like staying healthy or so. The more people know about battle royales, it's going to be better. Like it's it feels like that, but it is, you know, it's great. It's cool. I mean, I'll use, Aaron's here. I'll use him as the example. I told him about, we talk about it all the time whenever it comes up. I told him about Escape from Tarkov, and well, like a couple days later, you're like, "What the fuck did you just get me into? Like, why am I playing this?" You're like, "Dude," I felt bad. I was like, "Damn, dude!" Like, he spent all this money on this fucking thing, and he's like not enjoying it. But then, like a week later, you're like, I remember you texted me. You went, "Nope, I figured it out. We're good. This is fucking awesome."
Yeah,
That was the exact message. It was like, "I figured it out. This is fucking awesome." I was like, "Awesome, cool. There it is. There we
yeah,
go." And now, that's one of the core pillars of the gaming community that we have, that we play on.
yeah,
And, you know, Cycle hit that same deal, which has been awesome. It's dope. But there's been a couple, you know, Hazard Zone. It was fun for a bit, got stale kind of quick in my opinion. I think it's just one of those things where I'd rather just play either Hunt Showdown or Escape Tarkov,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah, yeah. And
Um,
I think that's what it is that we're seeing a lot of people want to do something in that vein. It's like, doing the hybrids. That that you're talking about, the raid style game where it's like it's
mhm.
it's a hybrid. It's like it falls between the two things, and that's what I
Uh-huh.
sort of talked about in the article. It's like, yes, and then you have companies that are trying to do things um, that are in between the two, right? They're not exactly the same thing as Escape from Tarkov. They don't have those like crazy inventory systems. They don't have the Jesus, that's bright. Um, don't mind me. That was really bright.
Oh my god,
Um,
it's so bright.
they don't have the persistent inventory. They don't have the same level of extracting that happens on some of those games.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's important to note that like games like Escape from Tarkov are influencing like the big two. Like
Yep.
it's influencing Battlefield. That is,
Yeah,
that's that's
let that tell you
something,
something.
right? Like that is an important distinction that hey, that game that like is made by a bunch of crazy Russians? It's influencing one of the pillars of PC gaming,
One of the
Battlefield.
biggest games of the last 15 years.
Yeah. It's
Mhm.
totally just out there and changing the rules on what games can be and what
Yeah.
people are willing to go and play. And I think that's important. I have a lot of fun playing the Hazard Zone stuff, but only when I have a full team, right? Like I'm only interested in doing it as a full team, and then we get crazy and we do whatever nonsense. And it's the emergent gameplay that's important to me.
Yep.
And I think that's what Battlefield does well is the emergent gameplay. It's not that it's set up well to do uh, the raid style extremely well. Like I think
Mhm.
they kind of shot themselves in the foot by not having like in-game pickups for weapons. I think they probably could have done more equipment pickups, like stuff like that. Maybe even drop more vehicles in there. It's Battlefield. We kind of expect a certain number of things that can happen in the game.
I I honestly think that if you're gonna try to do a game, or at least a style that has Tarkov tied to it, as far as like people comparing it to that, you got to have some sort of an inventory system. Like you have to have some sort of inventory system, something there to create a risk reward.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's definitely risk reward with Hazard Zone. 100% there is.
They did come up with an interesting take on the risk reward, whereas you
Yeah.
buy all of that equipment prior. If you don't make your money back, you're just out the money. Like that, they've simplified down the inventory system in a way that was at least interesting in a way. And I'm not totally sold on it being good per se. Like I don't think it's totally like right there and it's perfect, but like I think it's an
Yeah.
interesting take on how
Oh yeah.
to make it so that you can actually um, have some kind of consequence to not doing well. And
Right.
it's a little bit too far on the arcade side. Like I think we'll see either they will do an upgrade to what Hazard Zone is, or we will see someone else do a more
Something.
inline upgrade to what Hazard Zone is. Like, because that's what we're going to see is we're going to see iterations on this style of game moving forward. Right now, you see our
Yeah.
Mad Max run that we did in Hazard
Which
Zone.
was incredible. Absolutely incredible. Um,
Essentially, like we got a bunch of vehicles and we just ran around killing everyone that showed up. So it was a lot of
just
fun.
yeah, just insert without getting copyright strike, just insert the Mad Max
Yeah.
Tom Hardy just soundtrack here. But I did have a thought on I wanted, so you and I were talking before the show, and I did want to save it until we got in here. Um, there is one thing that I've noticed that I've always heard. I've heard it from people that I know personally and people that watch my show and they watch my channel. Um, I hear it a lot from people that are on consoles mainly. Or I hear it. Let me rephrase that. I hear it from more of the casual type gamers, and I hear them say things about Tarkov like, "Yeah, I wish it was either out on console, or I wish that it was more like blank." Everybody wants something to do with Tarkov. It doesn't matter what system you're on. It doesn't matter what systems you play on. It doesn't matter what games you commit yourself to. People watch Tarkov, and it's fucking cool. Like flat out, it is fucking cool. You can do a million different things to your guns if you want to. You can do nothing to your gun if you want to. You can put mustaches on your guy, you can put cool masks on your guy, helmets, armors. It's, somebody joked about it saying it's like, oh, it's like tactical Barbie. But that same person that tried to poke fun and say it's like tactical Barbie, that is now the only thing they play on their channel
Hmm.
because they played it themselves. They indulged in it. They're like, holy shit, this is actually really awesome. Everybody wants a piece of it. It is, everybody wants a piece of it. Everybody wants something to do with it as consumers. Now, in the industry, they're hearing that. They're hearing that the consumers want it, and they're going, how do we do this? How do we do what these crazy Russian bastards are doing? These crazy small group of Ruskies out there in the middle of nowhere, freezing their balls off, drinking their vodka. How can we do what they're doing? We want to do that. We want to make that money. How do we make it happen? Everybody's trying to do it. I mean, that's the point of the whole show that we're saying. But it's just crazy to see that that's the thing now because what was the thing in gaming, a couple years ago, like before Tarkov like really became like the focal point for a lot of streamers and YouTubers. And it's like what was it? It was like COD and trick shots and
Yeah.
a lot of like single player like speed runs and single player games and like that was kind of it, not bashing it. I'm just saying like that was what people were wanting and wanted to do. And you know, that kind of fell off real quick, like not a lot of people, the longevity of that didn't stay as well as it did, because then the same people that were talking about how great like the competitive circuit for Call of Duty was, now they talk about how dry it is and how stale it is. And it's like,
Mm.
you know the gaming industry is a hard industry to keep happy to begin with. I've always thought that. I think that's just how it's going to be. I think with the evolution of games and the evolution of technology, I think it's going to be hard to keep people happy because of the potential of what's right around the corner. But consistently, as far as people that have gotten involved with Tarkov or people that have gotten involved in watching and indulging in Tarkov, that has kind of stayed consistent where everybody's like, I want to fucking play that. I want to keep playing that. Or oh man, I wish I could play that. Like that has been consistent with those raid games. And now the reality is that everybody from the publisher developer side in the industry is going, we need to do this. How can we do this?
Hmm.
let's let's fucking do this. Like that's what we're looking at. There's a ton of games that are coming out and around the corner that are either a battle royale type, a raid type or a combination of both,
Yeah.
and trying to they're trying to find that same vein that they fed into, and they're trying to tap off of it as well. And I don't think that's going to go as well as it has. I think it's kind of one of those things where, Battle State Games are kind of the OGs of it, and they've figured out a way to kind of, put their mark on it and brand it. I think Cycle Frontier came through and they found that same vein and they're just kind of leeching off of it happily with Battle State,
Mhm.
but um, you know, I
I
don't know.
so I hear what you're saying, and I honestly like I can understand the direction of that thought process, but also like because I just have seen it happen over the last probably 5 years, 6 years,
Mhm.
with what PUBG has done versus how big games like Apex became, how
Yeah.
big games like Warzone became. Like PUBG was the OG. Like it was the one that people were playing because that's what it was. That's what Battle
Yep.
Royale was.
Mhm.
Then the next iteration came out, and then the next iteration came out, and then the
Yep.
next iteration came out. And
Yep.
those iterations have become so much bigger because they have bigger teams, they have more development, they have better graphics, they have just
More money.
tons more money behind
More
each
money.
one. So we're going to see
Mhm.
I would genuinely be surprised if we do not see a Warzone raid style game come in the next year or two. I would genuinely be surprised that they are not like deep in development for the next Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I
Oh
would
yeah.
honestly like almost put money on it that they would have some sort of a raid game in development that is ready to go
Mhm.
for when Modern Warfare launches again.
Mhm.
And I think
I
that
I
we
agree.
will
I agree
see
with that.
because in my head, like after I wrote the article, after I came up with what my overall impression of everything was, it was that yes, obviously somebody is out there making those games and making that game mode for those games, right? So
Yep.
how do we see that it's going to do that? I think they're 90% the way there. Honestly, the only things that they need to do are implement an inventory system or some
Yep.
sort of persistent personal inventory for your character,
Mhm.
and then implement extraction.
Yep.
Implement those two things where it's like if you get into a game, you go scrounge what you can and you get to your extract. Whatever you have on your body, that's what you get out with, right? And then that carries over and carries over and carries over. So whatever you're playing with, that's how you're playing, right? It feeds off of what Warzone already does well with the scavenging, finding stuff, moving on to the next building, the loot and scoot way to play.
Yep.
And then adds an experience that okay, you can just get out. You don't have to fight to win. You just get out. And I
They're
think
really
if you add those two things, you've made a raid game
yeah.
that is arcadey but also available for console players. And we cannot discount how big the console market will latch
No.
on to this the second it is available to them.
It's gonna b it would be something
Because there
it
is
would
not a console game that is available right now that's doing this.
it's gonna be ballsy to say, but I think it would be something if something like that popped over to the consoles, that would be something that would break the internet
That's literally what
because
we're waiting on is how do they figure out how to distill raid inventory character development or character progression I should say and also make it available for so that it's competitive across crossplay. So you have Xbox, PlayStation, and PC all
I'm
playing each other. How do you
I'm
how do you
telling
get there so that it's competitive, but then also simple enough that the console player can just do it from their controller?
yep. It's that's kind of that's kind of like the missing element on the table, like before you complete the whole thing. That is the one thing that is yet to complete the puzzle because like I said, I'm telling you, I've had new people, like people that have I don't, actually it's been a little bit, but I'd say earlier this year when I was streaming, I had people come through that were new to my channel, and one of the first questions they asked after watching me play Tarkov, they're like, "Is this going to come to Xbox? Is this going to come to PlayStation? You know, like,
Hmm.
is this something that's going to be coming to consoles?" I don't know if Battle State will ever, because that's a lot to do, and I think they just want to wrap because it's Tarkov is still in beta, and I think they want to just hurry up and get it out of beta and move on to the other stuff. But somebody somewhere is so close to, as Aaron said, to figuring out how to put something like that onto the consoles. And the day that something like that makes its way to console, you're gonna see a broken internet because they're going. I think the console community would absolutely embrace and just go ape over it
Yeah, and
because it just would. It's something. I mean, that's why that's why battle royales do so well on the console. That's why the I think the cycle is doing so well because that will be something that will eventually go to console as well. Like that's a big thing that they want to push to there. It's it's a deal. That's a
if they
big
get the
deal being
cycle on
able to do
console,
that.
it will be the cycle.
Oh yeah.
If they can figure out the controls for the cycle to be console based, it will 100% be the game that makes its way over
Oh
there
yeah.
and crushes everything else.
It will. I don't I agree with that 100%. I think the if it is a cycle, if there's some game that could take everything that the cycle in Tarkov does and put it on the console, that'll be what everybody plays.
Yeah,
That is going to
and
be
I
the
I
thing
think
that
the cycle is actually pretty close to that.
they
I
are.
think they've distilled a lot of the craziness of the Tarkov system. All
Hmm.
the just insane amounts of stuff, the insane amounts of augmentation that you can do to things. They've distilled it down to the standard MMO style of
Yep.
weapons and armor, where it's just it's the blue, green, white, green, blue, and
Hmm.
orange. I think they or purple. I think they did. Um, I think with that simplification, I think you might actually be in the wheelhouse to make those changes on the console if they can map it out and make it quick and on the fly so that it's not taking people half an hour just to add a sight to their weapon while they're in the raid. So we'll see what they do with that. If they can do that and this runs smoothly on console, I think this is what I think the cycle is 100% the game that will crush everything else. It's already great in its beta phase, and I will be very interested to see if they can make that happen for people on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox. Uh,
Hmm.
100%. And
I mean, they have the computing. They have the physically. They have the ability to do it. Like the computing power is there. The processing power. It's there. It's just it's like a UI, technical
it's
side thing
totally a
from.
UI problem. It's
Yeah,
totally making the
that's
UI
it's
fun and fast and easy to manage.
it's kind
And
of one of those things where
it's
it's like
pretty
round,
close.
square hole, round peg type deal. You just got to make that square a little bit rounder to fit the peg through.
Yeah.
Like this that's what they have to do. And that's exactly that's the best way I could break it down.
Yeah, and it's almost simple enough just as it is. So yeah, that totally is. If they make the cycle for console, this is the game. This is the game in the
It
next 2
will.
years. If that's what happens, that's the one.
Oh yeah.
I would totally be interested in even playing it with a fucking controller. It would be fun. Like I'm
Right.
not gonna lie, it's like just yeah, all right. I'm just gonna all right, it's fine. All right. Oh God, eating
I'd
pizza
be
like
honest.
this, just hanging out, just chilling. Yeah,
Right.
it's cool. This stupid idiot, you're dead, idiot.
Yeah, could you imagine? Could you imagine playing Tarkov like that?
No, yeah, I can't. And that's the thing, and that's why Tarkov is going to be the niche game that it stays. That's it.
Don't get me wrong. What if if I'm
I
ever? I
love the
mean,
game. I
this this
love Tarkov. I
this
hate
wipe
that it's not
this
going to be
wipe I
bigger than it
have
is.
this wipe I've only done 2 raids. No, 3 raids in total offline where I haven't been streaming. I've been playing Tarkov primarily for the audience on stream when I play it. But there's definitely been a couple of times like off camera I've just been like just chilling. But for the most part, I think the game itself keeps you on your toes and it keeps you involved and it keeps you just like pulled in.
Hmm.
But I totally get what you're saying. Like the ability of just like controller and just
Yeah,
just
just
chilling.
just sit back, chill, and
Like,
play, right?
mhm. Yeah, I
And
think
yeah,
just like I'd be one of those weirdos to play it. I'll play it on a controller and do the controller stuff, but then like, oh, I got to search the bag and then just kind of like sit forward and just click, click, drag, drag, drag,
yeah, exactly.
back and back to that shit right there.
But like you see
I do that.
the chat scene, the inventory system that pops up as you go through the boxes and stuff, like that's not hard for them to say
Mhm.
like, all right, whenever you open a box, it goes straight to the box and that's how you jump over, right? Like it would just be simple for them.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think this might be the one if they can figure it out. Genuinely, I think it would be. I mean, we're still gonna see people that want to play games like Call of Duty and whatever they come up with for a raid game is gonna do well. Like it's just gonna
Yeah.
do well. They're gonna have the time to develop it. They're gonna have the time to put the polish on it that they want it
Yeah.
to play as. It will be somewhere in between. It won't
Mhm.
be what we're seeing with the cycle. It won't be what we see with EFT. But it will be somewhere in between. I think that's enough for most people. I think those in between games are enough. But the fact that we're seeing those even exist in the first place and
Mhm.
pop up for people, uh,
Let
and based off of games that are small and tiny and they're impacting the big guys. So
there's no way that either Activision or who's the other one? Sledgehammer. Sledgehammer?
Sledgehammer, yep.
Yeah,
Or
there's no
Raven, whatever.
Raven, whoever.
Yeah.
There's no way that neither of them aren't
Knee
in
deep.
development.
Knee deep in it.
There's no way. Okay, let cards on the table. How long do you think before we see something not like that out of them? How long would you give them? Do you think?
I genuinely think that we won't see a raid game from Activision until Infinity Ward drops the next Modern Warfare. I genuinely think they will tie it to their flagship and
Mm.
see how hard it hits. Because if it doesn't do well with Modern Warfare, it's not going to do well.
So what? So here's my
And right
cards on the
now, that's
table.
the next game, right? Like that's like next year.
I think within 2 years we will see some sort of raid style game come out of them. Whether it be something attached to, as you said, something attached to Modern Warfare or something that runs off of it. Whether it be another Call of Duty game, but not tied to Modern Warfare, but maybe just it just has Call of Duty tied to it.
Right.
I could see, but I would say as of right now, here we go. December 30th, 2021. December 30th, 2023. Before then, we will see some sort of raid style game coming out from whether it be Activision or Sledgehammer. I think within 2 years, we'll see something
Hmm.
similar pop up from them.
And
So,
I would love to see something from the respawn team too. Like I genuinely I want to go into Apex and like Apex, right?
yeah.
I loved Titanfall. I would love to see something come from that studio that is interesting for me to play again. Because Apex as it is isn't really my thing. I haven't had a whole lot of fun playing it.
No,
I
yeah, I agree with that.
I like the universe a little bit. I'm not super invested in it because I wasn't super invested in the gameplay. But
Mhm.
that's because it's a core battle royale style game, and that's just not what I'm interested in playing. But if they do come back to the table and say, "All right, we're going to release a raid style game," because they did Arena, right? They've put out an Arena game. They've talked
Yeah.
about doing something with Titans again in the world of Apex. So we could see something coming from them as well. And maybe that's a Titanfall space that could be interesting to mess with, right? Like maybe that's maybe Apex goes and says, or Respawn goes and says, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna add Titans to raids.
That would be. Oh my god! Could you imagine clearing out of lumber, heading to outskirts, and just over the top of Scab House?
Titanfall incoming.
Just fuck yeah, right? Just right over you just hear like that sound. You just hear the sound of the fucking pod breaking Atmo, and
Just
you just hear it just
coming down.
just racing to the fucking Earth's surface, and
So
you're just like, "Oh my god."
I'd love to see something like that, but like I don't know what they're
That
gonna
would be
do.
insane.
They have all of the, like we talked about, like it's the same thing as Call of Duty. They have all of the UI to do it. It's just adding the little pieces like a persistent inventory system
Yep,
that is based off of your character. Maybe it
yep,
doesn't go outside of the raid, or maybe it does. Maybe you just drop stuff into a new menu item and it doesn't really
mhm,
become like the Tarkov inventory. It's just a list
mhm,
inventory, right? Maybe
mhm.
that's how you do it. I think all of the pieces are there for these companies to make a persistent scavenging survival raid style game. I
Mhm.
just don't know when that's going to come. I feel like it's coming no matter what.
Oh, yeah. No, 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 100 it's 100%, on its way. I just like, when you're saying it, you just don't know when that's happening.
Yeah, and whoever is getting to the console market first, I think is the next big one. I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that we have stumbled upon the key piece of all of it is that you bring this game style to the casual I'm not calling all console gamers casual, but you're talking about a
You're
significant amount of more casual people that are willing to drop a significant amount of money
yeah.
to play.
I mean, that's not a it's not a saying cash is not a bad thing. I mean, I'm looking at 3 monitors for one. I'm
Yeah,
looking at 3 monitors and this thing that when I have to transport it around, I have to secure it as much as I do my child.
yeah,
Like, that's so much different than just grabbing your Xbox and, "Alright, put in a
yeah.
backpack and fucking go." Like, it's, a casual system is much different than that, but if you're able to bring yeah, make lightning strike that same way for the console
and
people.
and we've talked about with something like the cycle where they have really actually like distilled what makes it fun to the most important piece, and that's actually being in the game. Where those raids are persistent. They are long. They do not go away. You can drop back in all the time, over and over and over again.
Yep.
Unlike a game like Tarkov, where you're sitting in queue waiting for the raid to start for five
Yep,
to 10 minutes at a time.
yep.
With the cycle, you're just going. You're just going. You're just
That
going. So
that I like.
if they bring that to the console with all of the bells and whistles of the
Mhm,
raid, I think they are going to be taking over the new Epic headquarters down in Cary here within a year or two. Honestly,
mhm.
like they're going to be huge.
Yeah, that would be a huge push for that, especially console side.
People
I mean,
will
that would
lose their
be
minds, and I think that's what it's going to take. I think it's going to take a game that is that good that because we played it, we would still be playing it right now. We would not be doing this show. We would be
I
playing the
so
cycle.
I filed I filed that their early tester thing out to even if it's, even it won't like you can still play it before it goes back to open beta again because I want to keep playing it that bad
Yep.
because it's fun, man, and it's just it's it it's another one even though it is very much like Escape from Tarkov, even though it's very much in that same thread and that same vein that Battle State is feeding off of right now, even though it's the same deal, it really is in sort of a league of its own. Like Tarkov, they're both the same game at their core, but there's just something about them. I don't know, spiritually, is that the word I'm looking for? The way I'm looking to describe it? That's just different, because there's people that I knew, that, oh yeah, they played Tarkov and it was all right, it was cool, but they started playing, Cycle, and they're like, this is great, this is incredible, this is amazing, and I'm sitting here like, why the fuck don't you like Tarkov then? But it makes sense to me when I look at it, when I look at it from that perspective of cycle hits on different things for people. It's in space. It's very much, it feels like something you would see in like a Borderlands DLC. It feels very, very space, sci-fi, Firefly nerd, corners type game. Where a lot of the stuff in Escape Tarkov, you get a lot of like the very sweaty tactical shooter, chatty Shift W type people that want to play that, but they're just going to stick with Tarkov rather than trying to do something like that in Cycle, and that's fine. But to me, it's just cool that both games, even though it's kind of what's that meme? Corporate DGs find a difference in the picture. It's the same picture.
It's the same
They're the same
picture.
fucking game. They're the same fucking game.
They're the
It's the
same
same
game.
deal.
Yeah.
But they are definitely
There's
both. They're different sides of the same table.
Yeah. And there's tiny changes to each one, or tiny
Yep.
differences that you will enjoy one over the other depending on which side of that coin you actually like the most. Um,
Yes.
and I honestly, like, if I'm being honest with myself, I'm a sci-fi person. I do like the sci-fi, and I do actually like some of the mechanics that are happening in the cycle more. I like the gunplay more in Escape from Tarkov. But there's little, like, quality of life stuff on the cycle side that I'm very interested in seeing how that pans out. And then on the same token, I just enjoy playing a game that is just a little bit more quirky and fun sometimes. So, um, I'm I think that kind of wraps up where we're at. I think it tells the story of what raids can and probably are going to end up being in the near future. Um, it will be interesting to see how everything pans out moving forward. I'm very interested to hear what people have to say about it. So make sure you guys head over to the Instagram and give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think. There's a post on Call for Fire that you can go jump into and start talking to people and give your opinion. Um, we have been sort of talking about this off and on the streams and in the headsets on the discords. And I'm glad that we were able to, like, sit down and really kind of dive into it a little bit more with a little bit more meat to it this time.
Mhm.
And make sure you guys go check out the link that I posted as well. It's the post that I did for uh, the article on Call for Fire. Um, Stevie, where can people find you? What are you going to be up to? How are you going to be spending your new year?
So you guys can find me over at twitch.tv/Stevie underscore V underscore. That's mine. That's my primary outlet there, I should say. I stream there daily. And a lot of the FPSs are the things taking over my stream as of late, which has been fun. But as the new year picks up, we're gonna be breaking into a lot of newer stuff that's coming out, a lot of other things. I am on Instagram as well, which is just Instagram. It's just Stevie underscore V. Um, TikTok is the thing I've been breaking into recently as well. That's one on there also, Stevie underscore V.
That's really pretty.
Um, those are like the three main deals that I'm on right there. You can check me out, and we're going to be doing a lot of the big, I mean, I if you couldn't tell from tonight's episode, I'm a big raid style gamer. I love my Tarkovs. I love the cycle. I love Hunt Showdown, games with high risk, high reward. I love doing that. We're gonna be doing those. A lot of the speedy FPSs. We're gonna be checking those out. I don't know. I'm just kind of just doing my same thing that I've just been doing, and that's just chilling and killing. Whatever FPS realm that might be in. We'll be doing that. But yeah, definitely doing Ready or Not. Definitely doing Escape from Tarkov, and then these raid style games that I just can't get enough of. That is my filthy pleasure. Is these
I
raid
just
style
can't get
games.
enough. I just
Nope.
can't get enough. Yeah. So definitely check out Stevie's channel. I dropped some links there. Make sure you follow him on Twitch. Make sure you follow him on Instagram. He will probably have all of the links on his Twitch as well. So if you just want to smash that and then go follow him on everything, that would be really awesome of you. I'm Aaron. I'm your host as always. I'm at Call for Fire on Instagram. You can also find me at Aaron Provost on Instagram as well. I'm all over the internet. You can find me wherever you want to find me.
True.
Um, if you haven't yet, make sure you guys join the Discord because it's always popping off over there. So
It is
um,
always so much fun.
we're always having a good time. And you will also be able to come and game with us if you feel so inclined. I We'll probably be playing some more of that good old Escape from Tarkov, even though the servers are made out of potatoes and a wish. Uh, I just, I just can't keep myself from sparking it up. So we'll see. I will probably end up starting back in on some Battlefield here and there as well, just for some random gaming. I still think the game is great. I still think it's fun. I know there's still some issues with some people's game, but for me, it is kind of killing it. I have a lot of fun playing. So, um, Stevie, I want to thank you yet again. I want to thank everybody for coming out and checking out the show today.
Always a good time, man. I'll be here as long as you want me here. I'll hang out. As long as you want me here, I'll be here every time, buddy. It's always a
And
good time.
thank you again to Dennis Hennessy for the follow. Thanks to Big Void for coming out. Thanks to Night Shadow. Thanks to Judge Drudy. Thanks to Joe. Thanks to Bigley. I just want to make sure I thank everybody for coming out. Thanks to Raging. I appreciate you. We're going to call it there. We're going to have a good night. I hope you guys have a great and safe New Year's Eve. Be safe. Don't be an idiot.
Yes, yes,
Don't drink and
yes.
drive. Get a goddamn Uber. It's not that expensive. Trust me, I
It's not
know.
cheaper than a ticket.
It's cheaper than a ticket. You
Cheaper than a DUI.
just call the damn Uber. And yeah, the CDC says it's fine, so I don't know. Just be safe. Just be safe. Don't be an idiot. She doesn't really love you. Don't
Oh, it's
wrap it
that
before
lady.
you tap it. What's some other? I, we'll figure it out. I'll work on my safety brief, boys and girls.
Yeah, hold on. I'll cap the whole thing off. Don't do something that you'd want to be the main topic of discussion for Monday morning safety brief this weekend.
There you go. There it is. Don't be that guy. All right. So anyways, thank you for coming out, guys. We will see you next week, same time, 9 to 9:30 ish, 9:50 ish, depending on what time we get up. So we'll see.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere in there. So until then, thank you so much and have a good night. I will see you guys next time.
Thanks, yes.
All right. What am I doing? Oh yeah, this button. I'm hitting this button. Am I hitting this button? Is this the button I hit?
I don't know because I can't see.
Is it this one right here, Stevie? Stevie.
I would click.
Is it the button?
Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can do this right. I'm gonna click it for you. Ready?
Okay, ready.
3, 2, 1.